In today's video, I'll be discussing Danger, Thunderdragon, Guardragon, and why honestly it's very weird in comparison to other combo decks of recent, and what is going on with it after the UDS. Before we get into this, if you guys are new here, my name is BladeYGO, and if you guys want more in-depth discussions on anything Yu-Gi-Oh related like this one, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date to know when my videos come out. With that, let's get right into this. So right now we're going to roadmap what I'm going to discuss in this video, and to start I'm going to discuss what each part of the deck really entails. So for example, the fact that it's a Saryuja turbo deck, there's dangers involved, there's Thunder Dragons, there's Guard Dragons, there's a lot of moving pieces. I'm going to discuss why the deck is overall just a different type of deck, as in compared to other combo decks of recent, it's just different, and what actually happened at the UDS and why it saw only one slot out of the top 16 compared to the other 15 decks where one of them was Zombie Danger and the rest were control decks, either being 7 Salomon Greats, including yours truly, or 7 Sky Striker. With that, let's get into why each part of the deck works and how this deck works all together. So to start, it's primarily a Saryuja turbo deck. The deck wants to turbo out Saryuja as fast as possible because of a multitude of reasons. One, obviously it has some amazing effects. So for example, being able to draw 4, put 3 back is essential for the deck strategy, not only helping you dig further into your Guard Dragon plays with the baby Chaos Dragons, because the reason why this deck even has access to Guard Dragons is because of the baby Chaos Dragons. It can also dig for your Thunder Dragon pieces. It can help you dig for more combo pushers, like for example, I guess you could call Levianeer a more aggressive card, you could say. It helps you put not only a card in your opponent's hand back into the deck, but as well it also enables you to just clear boards in general. It has 3 arrows, which is actually very essential for the deck because of the Guard Dragon plays. It helps you put out multiple Thunder Dragons onto the field, and not only all of that, but as well because it can special summon a monster from your hand. The reason why that's so essential is because there are so many ways to enable your Thunder Dragons through that method. So for example, you can discard a regular Thunder Dragon in order to enable the rest of your Thunder Dragons to turn into Colossus. As well, you can use a card like Hawk in order to special summon one and turn that into a Colossus. So there are some methods of enabling Colossus, but Saryuja helps you put that initial Thunder Dragon onto the field. So basically, Saryuja enables most of your plays, and if you were to Reaper a card like Saryuja, for example, then that does definitely hurt, because then not only are they losing all their draw power, they're also losing all of the arrows they typically have, and as well their plays are just not nearly as aggressive. We also have the danger portion of the deck, which the danger portion of the deck already is amazing, and it's the main thing that gives this deck so much speed, because of the fact that dangers help link spam in general. Obviously, putting one free body on the field and having an Upstart Goblin is pretty good, but at the same time, because you have a card like Thunder Dragon, which is an inherent +1, you just discard it and add 2 more copies, that also means that you can use those as discard fodder. So for example, if you're using a danger in hand, but you already used a Thunder Dragon in order to get an additional Thunder Dragon in hand, so you have 2 Thunder Dragon and a danger, if you discard either of those 2 Thunder Dragons, it's essentially a better +1, because instead, in the place of that Thunder Dragon, you're going to have any other card in your deck, and that other card may potentially do something in that scenario. So not only does this help you dig for the Guard Dragons as well, this helps you make an easy Saryuja, which helps you dig even further into the danger engine, into the Thunder Dragons, and into the Guard Dragons, so that's also a thing. You can potentially discard good cards, like I've already stated with Thunder Dragon. You can discard a card like Eclipse Wyvern because the deck is playing Eclipse Wyvern, and overall, the dangers just make the deck much more aggressive, which obviously the deck is already pretty aggressive, but because of the dangers, it gives that extra layer of consistency that the deck did not have before. Imagine this deck without dangers, it just would not work, because there are no inherent ways of putting free bodies on the field like the dangers, and they also hit cards out of hand that you potentially want in the graveyard. So for example, if you discard a Thunder Dragon card, like for example if you discard a Roar or a Dark, that means that you will get inherent value out of that if you banish it from the graveyard or special summon it with Hawk, etc. Then we also have the Thunder Dragon portion of this deck, which I've already described, but I'll describe a bit further. So the main reason you play the Thunder Dragon portion is not only are they really good with the Chaos Dragons and the baby Chaos Dragons, not only is that good, not only are they just good for link summoning in general, because if they're sent from the field to the graveyard or if they're banished, so it works either way, then you will get inherent value out of that. But then not only do you get both of those if you use it as link material or they're banished, but then you can also use the monsters as fodder for Colossus. And if you don't know what Colossus does, you probably haven't been playing any of this format or last format ever since Soul Fusion came out, because Colossus is a threat to deal with. I mean, oh my goodness. But that's not the point here. So Thunder Dragons generate a crud ton of advantage, and they set up a very hard to deal with boss monster at times. Now, the issue with the Thunder Dragon engine in this deck is that you don't really want to draw any of them. They're kind of bricks, to be honest with you. You only want them on the field or in your graveyard, because otherwise they don't really gain you any advantage in hand besides the traditional Thunder Dragon, or if you have Thunder Dragon Dark in your hand, you can discard it on the opponent's turn. So all of that is nice, and the Thunder Dragons do generate an immense amount of advantage. You also have a card like Dragon Duo, which can be searched with Dark, and that also enables to put another level 8 body on field to make a card like Zombie Stein, which Zombie Stein is a card at the end of the combo, which I'll discuss in a little bit. So yeah, these cards generate massive advantage outside of the hand. If they're in the hand, they're really not that great to have in hand, and what's nice about the dangers is they can declog your hand by actually discarding the Thunder Dragons from your hand. Next, let's talk about the Guardragon. So the Guardragon set up 1-2 disruption and are, well, hand disruption as well. The baby Chaos Dragons are what enable you to get access to the Guardragon link monsters, because of the fact that they're so easy to summon in this deck as well, because the deck is kind of focused around the baby Chaos Dragons. Not only do they get you inherent value when they are sent from the field to the graveyard for a link summon, for example, not only do they get you inherent value there, but as well, they get you access to the Guardragons, they get you access to more Nightmare plays. They're just so good all around. They help further link spam, they get you access to the Guardragons, just absolutely incredible. But then the Guardragons get you to even further disruption. So traditionally, if you're just playing a regular Danger Thunder Dragon list, you would be getting Colossus and Titan at the end of your combo. However, with a deck like Danger Thunder Dragon Guardragon, instead of the Titan, you are getting negates along with everything else. So for example, you can end on a 2 Colossus, 4 cards in hand, and a Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss / Crystal Wing, and a Zombie Stein on your field very efficiently, and it's even just a 2-card combo with Battery Man Solar. So because of all of that, it's just so easy to set up disruption. You basically special summon from your deck with LP either a Eclipse Wyvern or a Darkest Diabolos to get you more value and set up further disruption. But then from there as well, the potential negates are a crazy possibility, because LP just summons any synchro from your extra deck that's a dragon that can negate. And honestly, people have been switching to Crystal Wing recently. There is still Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, but I think Crystal Wing is the more popular option now. Now, there is also the potential of ripping cards out of hand through Diabolos and Levianeer. Like I discussed earlier with Levianeer, because you can manage 3 dark monsters, you can shuffle a card in your opponent's hand into the deck, and Diabolos contribute a dark monster in order to return a card from your opponent's hand into the top or bottom of the deck. Then, because they are both level 8 darks, you get access to easy rank 8 plays, and typically you are summoning Zombie Stein because of the fact that you can negate either monsters, spells, or traps, just any face-up card. However, even though there are so many different possibilities with the Danger Thunder Dragon deck, these boards aren't unbreakable. You can draw 2 hand traps or 1 hand trap sometimes, which makes it very easy to beat this deck. Ash on LP can hurt a lot and potentially stops a good amount of their negates, or if you have the potential and they don't chain block, you can Ash the Saryuja. You can also Effect Veiler / Imperm the Saryuja, and they're still in a bad position from there. But it does also depend on the hand, so for example, your opponent can draw a really good hand and be able to play through an Effect Veiler / Impermanence on the Saryuja. So it's really up to what they draw. And I think that's honestly one reason why this deck is so interesting, because of the fact that you are just kind of reliant on luck, if you know what I mean. scene. Obviously, there are decks like other combo decks in the past that can be reliant on luck, and any deck is reliant on luck, but at the same time, there's a difference. So when we're talking about a deck like, for example, Warriors or Goki or any Warrior variant that made extra links, that deck wasn't really as luck-eccentric as a deck like this, because Warriors, any 1 to 2 cards would get you combo, and so you had the rest of your hand to do stuff. So typically it was really hard for decks to win against that deck just because their hands usually are so good and there isn't really one amazing hand trap against them. But then as well, you have to keep in mind that this deck relies on cards like Danger, which dangers help you keep drawing into more and more cards to further extend your combos. And then you have to also keep in mind that there's also Saryuja, which you can be reliant on to draw for and dig into more combo pieces like the Guardragons. Now yes, there are 2-card combos. For example, Batteryman Solar plus White Dragon Wyvern Buster is a combo that gets you the entire board, which includes taking 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, the double Colossus, a Crystal Wing, and a Zombie Stein. So there's that. Usually your opponent doesn't draw into that combo, and so honestly I would say this deck's more luck reliant than other combo decks in the past. Just some general notes I wanted to add: this deck can play through hand traps depending on the hand. This deck can brick/draw mediocre a lot because of the fact that there are so many inoptimal cards to draw. For example, Eclipse Wyvern, the Chaos Dragons without any initial setup. Yes, there are dangers, but sometimes you can get unlucky, etc. So yes, there are times where you just don't draw that great, but other times you draw really well because of a card like Sekka's Light, for example, that I haven't mentioned. But this deck does play Sekka's Light, or it just plays a bunch of power spells like Allure of Darkness, Melody of the Awakening Dragon and Goldsark, etc. It just depends on if you'd rather have Sekka's Light or the latter. The best possible counter to this deck is most likely Droll and Lockbird, because the deck does so much searching in the form of cards like Dangers and Saryuja. And lastly, Sphere Mode is another potent counter because it gets rid of 3 out of their 4 disruptions, or at least like they will have a Colossus left, but if you don't care about the Colossus, then it doesn't matter. So what actually happened at the UTS that made this deck not really do as much? Well, to start, there are a lot more rounds in this type of tournament than other types of tournaments. So because it was an Ultimate Duelist series, and because it's just this type of competition, there are generically more rounds in a UTS than a YCS. And with more rounds comes more consistent options. Now, I'm not saying Danger Thunder Dragon isn't a consistent deck. However, I am saying there are more consistent options in the form of Salamangreats and Sky Striker. And because of that, there are just more control options, and those are typically the more consistent options. So I guess you could say the reason why they didn't do so well at the UTS was really because of the fact that it was just that type of tournament, and I would expect to see more Danger Thunder Dragon in future tournaments like YCS Atlanta. So overall, Danger Thunder Dragon is a very aggressive combo deck. This deck can 100% set up some pretty disgusting boards like I've already stated, while playing through hand traps, and really can be a force to be reckoned with, especially when Danger Thunder Dragon is starting to play a card like Vanity's Fiend or any Tribute Summon Floodgate, or just any Danger deck doing that in general, because these decks can do that so easily. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to support me further than just watching my YouTube videos, go down into the description and support me on Patreon. It helps out quite immensely. As well, if you guys want to talk to me further than just my YouTube comment section, go down into the description and join my Discord server. Thank you guys so much for watching, and with that, I hope to see you soon.